So an arithmetic series has S15 as 93.75. We know term 15 is 11.5. And we know that D is 0.75. We want to find term 1, term 2, and term 3. So if we look at this, we have three formulas that involve arithmetic sequences so far. We've got our general term formula. We've got our sum formula that uses term 1 and the last term n. And we've got our sum formula that doesn't use our last term. And we're given some information. Okay? We're given S15 is 93.75. We're given that D is 0.75. And we're given that term of 15 is 11.5. So what we want to look at with our formulas, and this is a little bit of a problem-solving one, we want to find term 1. Does it make sense that if we find term 1, then we have D, we could find term 2, and then we could find term 3. So in these formulas, this is what I want to find. I could use any of those formulas has T1 in it, so it's possible that I could use any one of those to help me find it. Okay? Next, what do we know? I'm going to put a little check mark. We know D. We know term 15. If we know sum 15 and term 15, does it make sense that if you use the formula, then n would be 15 in that case? So what we're going to do is we're going to look through these things and decide which one is going to be, which one could we use, and it might be that we can use more than one to solve for this. Do we know term 15? Yes. Do we know D? Yes. Do we know n? Yes. We could use formula 1 because we know all the other things. We could use it to find term 1. Do we know the sum of the first 15? Yes. Do we know n? Yes. Do we know term 15? Yes. We could use the second formula. And same thing, we could use the third formula. Sometimes what's going to happen is that you can use more than one formula, but maybe one of them is a little bit easier than the other. But in this case, you have lots of options. Okay? Which one do you look, to you, which one looks like the easiest one? We'll do it two different ways just to show that it works. Of those three, if you had to cancel one of them that you would be like, ooh, that one looks like it has more stuff in it, I don't want to use it, which one would you cancel out? The last. This one has the most stuff, right? So let's do it, I'm going to do it first with this one, because this is what the textbook wanted you to do. Because do you see, and then we're going to do it second with this one. Do you see that if you use the second one, you don't even need the sum part? They kind of gave us more information than we actually needed here. So we'll do the first one first, because that's what the textbook originally planned. So, all right, using formula, and I'll put a 1 there. So what we do is we plug in everything we know. We know the sum of the first 15 terms is 93.75 equals, we know that the n is 15, bracket, we want to find this term 1. This is what we're trying to find. We know that term 15 was 11.5 divided by 2. Now you just have to deal with order of operations. Probably the first thing I would do is dividing by 2. The opposite of dividing by 2 is multiplying by 2. So I'd multiply both sides by 2 and show that. Multiply this side by 2, multiply this side by 2. This 2 would simplify away. And 93.75 times 2 is 187.5 equals 15. It's nice to take your time. You have a little bit of mathematical options. If you want, you can get rid of this 15 because it's 15 times something. You could do opposite of timesing by 15. Divide by 15. That's option 1. Option 2, what do we do when we have brackets and a number out front? You could distribute. So whether you divide by 15 first or distribute, you will get the same answer. I'm going to divide both sides by 15. And then I would get 12.5. 15 would go away, then I'm just left with term 1 plus 11.5. Subtract 11.5 on both sides. And I would get term 1 is 1. Perfect. Therefore, term 2, if D was 0.75, term 2 would be 1.75, and term 3, add 0.75 again, would be 2.5. And the textbook says, because they said for the first because it says in the series, you would have to show it as you're adding them up, because the series is adding up the sequence. These are the, this is language-wise, these are the first 3 terms in the sequence. These are the first 3 in the series, because the series says you're adding them up. So this would be the actual answer to write down. Now I just want to go back and we're going to go up and we're going to do the same thing but using, I'll do it in blue, if we use this formula, we don't even need the sum. We want to find term 1, so again we're still trying to find this. We know term 15 was 11.5. We know that n is 15, and our d is 0.75 minus 1. Whoops, I wrote this formula wrong, sorry guys. Mixed up my d and my n. I'll change things just a little bit. So go to our calculator, and 14 times 0.75 is 10.5. Subtract the 10.5 on the other side, and you get 1 as well. All things considering, probably that blue formula was the easiest one to use to find term 1. And then once you have term 1, you could use your d values, find term 2 and term 3, and then write out the first 3 in your series. So sometimes we're going to have to do some problem solving. And one of the questions, so if you want to circle questions 7, 10, 15, and 16, and I put a star by 16 because I think it's in section C. It's a bit of a challenge. So you're going to have to do a little bit more problem solving